If I'm having trouble,
Recording is on.
Hey guys, welcome to the weekly DXdao call. Yeah, I was having a red dot in Jitsi here. I'm not sure why. If I get cut off or something, maybe if Sky, feel free to jump in and kind of MC this, but I seem to be green. So yeah, this is the weekly call. I think we usually try to do a recap of all the products and the calls. I think today it might be nice to do the recap of where the products are at, any updates there, and in the first half, and then maybe the second half, we could reflect and discuss a little bit on how we can improve, our meeting schedule and different things to be more efficient as an operation. But yes, Argentina is green. I thought it was blue. Geronimo, do you want to kick us off with Omen?
Oh, he.
Is Geronimo not here?
No, he was just. We were finishing the Omen conditional token framework, so I think he's still on that. He maybe start with a different product first. Yeah.
All right, so we'll start with Mesa then. Mesa, there's not much to talk about on the product. So there's a hot fix coming and a new release. But news-wise, API 3 ran their IDO, is running their IDO. Started on Monday. They've already raised, I think, over 14 million USDC, which is a big success. But there was manipulation of Gnosis protocol to basically front run the IDO. And as you know, front running resistance is kind of one of the big selling points for doing an IDO on Mesa. So that was kind of sad to see, but there's a good write up. API 3 released a blog post. Gnosis has a post-mortem. I mean, the gist of it is that somebody was able to create fake tokens on Gnosis protocol and create a bunch of orders through those fake tokens, which ended up buying API 3. And then this attacker actually submitted their own solution as a solver to Gnosis protocol. And because of all these fake tokens where nobody else was able to trade because the attacker was the only one holding these tokens, the attacker was able to put in, orders way above the sell price for those fake tokens, creating a lot of fake utility in the eyes of the Gnosis protocol. So it looked like a really good solution, and therefore it won on the Gnosis protocol and was submitted, and the attacker was able to basically buy up the first 4 tranches of API 3 prices, all in one single batch, and then they resold back into the market. So I mean, nobody directly got money stolen, but it's $500,000 or so that probably should have been in the hands of API 3. It is now in the hands of that front runner, and at the same time, other participants in the IDO got worse prices than they probably should have. Didn't get in as early as they probably should have done. So, now Gnosis is officially saying that they do not recommend doing IDOs with Gnosis protocol v1. So this is sort of an active discussion right now in the DXdao community and also on the Gnosis DAO forum. So if you're interested in that, check out the Mesa channel and Keybase, and that links to kind of all the relevant places. I mean, as I see it, there's sort of this immediate need to address this from the Mesa perspective. And I think Mesa's main use case has been IDOs. If you look at just the volume on Gnosis protocol, there's huge spikes around IDOs, and of the $100 million plus that has been traded on Gnosis protocol, I think the majority of that is from IDOs. I don't have the exact numbers to back it up, but looking at the stats, you can see just big spikes around where the IDOs are.
It's important to note on that.
Yeah.
Important to note on that is that there is I guess with that attack, that's possible because they knew the order prices ahead of time, and so with small changes of not revealing the exact order price ahead of time, likely that attack could be prevented, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the post-mortem write-up says that explicitly, that if API 3, and API 3 was actually trying to do this before, they just weren't able to complete it before the sales start, because they were like given some warning like a few hours before when Gnosis saw that this was happening, and their like approach was to try to like stop it by doing this, and they just didn't quite get to it, and so they ended up kind of stuck being exposed to this front running. And yeah, it's basically saying that if they had not published the prices or changed them by just a little bit at the last minute, the attacker's submission as a solver probably would have been invalid, because they were setting it like, you know, based on those exact prices. Now you're like, what, you know, so I think maybe saying that Mesa doesn't work for IDOs is a little bit too harsh, because you could take these kinds of approaches to combat these sort of attacks. But I do think it sort of becomes a cat and mouse game where, you know, maybe they can see and react quick enough once the prices are revealed. It's, you know, I don't think it's a foolproof like method to preventing the attack. But I could be wrong on that, but that's my impression.
I think it's not. Yeah, you can, if you see it, you can be first too. But there are other versions to like a counter strategy. But what I would add is more that we have like there's a lot of things going on with Gnosis DAO, and they are looking for different possibilities to develop a Gnosis protocol further. And they also have like an IDO version. Talking about the IDO version is very different from Gnosis protocol right now. And what I'm doing is trying to get a connection with them and have a call next week that we can talk about the strategy more. One talk, first I would more talk about how we can work together in the future. Also, not only about Mesa, but much more on a strategy level. And then the second part, we will talk about Mesa and how, what we see there, how we can go forward. And yeah, I think there are many others of possible partnerships with them.
Is it just me, or do you guys think that they're like reaching out with all their hands, and it's a clear signal that they really want to work closely on the IDO project? I mean, there's like, it seems they have already prepared this smart contracts, and there's like a front end product which is kind of done. It seems like there are clear signals that they really want to work with us here, and I think we should like go all in and work, like make sure that we are partnering strong here.
I mean, I hope you're right, Geronimo, but to me, if you look at this forum post that I just linked, you know, the title of it is, you know, should Gnosis DAO like build an IDO like interface and protocol based on this easy auction? And so like the post itself like originally doesn't mention anything about DXdao, and it's not until Stefan actually says something in one of the comments about DXdao. So to me, it's not super clear how much they are into collaborating on it. But I mean, I certainly hope that we figure some kind of a partnership out.
I think we have like we have a better, in a way, we have a better position because we are more ready to act in a, because they are just forming and they are in transformation, and I think there's the opportunity there still. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
this original post is from September. This exactly the same post, or nearly the same post from the same person is around from September. So it's not that fresh in a way. But now I don't know. You know, my deal would be to join our forces, and that we maybe focus on the front end part and also on the legal or not legal part we can provide, and they do stuff on the protocol level, because our position is we have got the brand. So, and I think it's quite a strong brand in a way.
Yeah. I also like see this IDO use case, yeah, exactly. Like Mesa is already like an IDO product, like you already like said. But like I think it's way more important for Swapper than we think. Like
Yes.
Mesa is the gateway for Swapper, and we need to make sure that we are like we need to tell them that we are going to do it. Like they need to. I like it's my gut feeling. Maybe I'm wrong, but like we can make sure that we are taking the lead here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pressure, the onus, and like kind of the urgency is with us, right? Because DXdao Mesa is a DXdao product, not to negate all the work that Gnosis has done to make that possible and the Gnosis protocol and all that, but it's the Mesa is a DXdao product, so the pressure is really here on DXdao to adapt, right, and make sure that this niche that's being served, it has been being served, driving most of the volume through Gnosis protocol is like continues to be served through Mesa. Yes. I tried to convey that on the Gnosis post that I just linked to here too from the Gnosis DAO forum. The post titled, "Should Gnosis DAO Build an IDO-Specific DApp?"
Yeah, so I will looking for a date or for to have a talk next week with them, and then we will see. And everybody is I think it will be around, I suggest around 4 to 5 p.m. next week, Europe time. So yeah, we will see how they react.
Yeah, sounds good. And also related, we have the workshop tomorrow, right, Martin?
Yes.
For the kickoff. Well, I guess it's already started, but there's a Gitcoin grants with a bounty for both Mesa and for Omen, and there's a workshop slot for DXdao tomorrow.
Yes.
I don't have that link handy, but maybe you could post it in the
I think there's no official link. Is there an official link to the workshop? No, not yet,
okay.
I think.
So people don't.
There is one on the platform, but our it's not. I don't. Maybe they published it today.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I thought I saw a calendar invite, but I don't know if that's.
Yeah, that's for the opening.
Well,
it's public, but that's for the opening. How say the opening of the hacker grand round 8.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure that's published. I see it as like 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, which is 1800 UTC. But yeah, we'll share more on that. All right, should we go to Omen? No, sorry, Geronimo, we skipped Mesa because we did others.
Yes, we released a new version, 1.2.0. It's the main big feature which we introduced is finally allowing anyone to verify a market. Right now it's just Kleros, but with the designs in place, it's like an easy, I would say, to add like the DXdao. The DXdao curation is already like the major source for getting markets added. So that's something we need to add pretty soon. Like coming up is the feature, like if a market is closed, there needs to be a process how to get the correct answer for the market. Currently, we're just like redirecting users to a different product called Reality, and that's, in my view, bad user experience. So we have like pull requests ready to allow anyone to set like the correct answer inside Omen and like observe the whole process inside Omen, which is actually also in terms of critical for the users to observe the whole process of an Omen market lifecycle, to not leave to somewhere else to see what's going on, but actually like observe from A to Z what is happening with the market, to protect to make sure that the outcome is actually the correct outcome. That's like in the pipelines, and most importantly, like the XDAI backend stuff is ready, and yeah, we should have a new DXdao Omen version out pretty soon. So at first, like, we just need to make baby steps, not go like crazy about it. We just like create a new front end, and we just deploy the Omen front end with the new back end and see how it works, so people can play around with it, use DXdao to create markets, and then we're going forward with like including the bridge interface on the mainnet product. So yeah, there's no barrier, it seems like, for us to move forward with DXdao. And lastly, scalar markets soon.
Awesome. Any questions on Omen? Okay.
Oh, sorry. Like one thing where we need to prepare is like a collective. The DXdao base has already money, so it's like it's a real DAO with economic value in it now. Sky prepared competition for like our Omen user base, and I think we need to make sure, like, we need to do advertisement and wake up Omen users to participate in this competition where people get rewarded for adding like a market idea to this competition list. They need to like I think we need to like prepare like an explainer how to propose it to DXdao. That's a bummer, but I think we need to make sure like to introduce the DXdao base to our Omen users and to the collective itself, because at the end of the day, the DXdao base will decide which market will be created from the Omen squad and get liquidity. And I think we need to make advertisement for that, because that's no other prediction market is actually doing something like that, like a very social element here.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Geronimo, on that, this either today, later today or tomorrow, there'll be a post. So that the competition scheme has 22 hours left on it to pass to become a competition scheme. So maybe a forum post that has the details of that competition scheme, and then I guess could be in that would be how to, like, a simple how to get to DXdao, how to make sure you change your network and log in, and then that would be the thing that we spread around in Omen Telegram and Omen Keybase and that community to and Elon has a guide for that already, but announcing like the place where people can start submitting these Omen markets and what the awards are, and earning some rep on that DAO as well, so that you can vote on markets in the future. That's all going to happen in the next couple of days, and that's what we want to spread around through our social channels and maybe even Twitter and things.
Yeah, it was, like, now that we have this scalable organization installed, I think we should do way more stuff with the community. Like now it's like market creation. Why not memes? DXdao memes. I think we need to like engage with our user base way more to like to come together again.
Good stuff. Any questions on Omen?
I have a question to Elon. Elon, I know you guys are working on like a merger between DXdao and mainnet Alchemy interface. Is there a chance that we could like see that coming up pretty soon? Because then we would just like, oh, you just go to this link and pick DXdao and you see the proposal.
Yeah, it's already in the preview app here. Like, it's technically ready, I think. Just needs to be merged, like QA then merged. So like I shared the link here. You can basically pick from the top, like on which network you want to be. And then in the case of DXdao, this will be sort of hard coded to map your mainnet and DXdao.
Yeah, the link doesn't work for me. Maybe they updated it or something.
Oh yeah, maybe.
So, like, do you know what, like, could we see that going online tomorrow?
Ooh, I don't know if tomorrow, but probably like early next week.
Cool. Okay.
Deadline strong arming on the weekly call.
we now have we have this official it's official tool that DXdao has, and it's an XDAI version of the rep holders on XDAI. That is now, there's been a few iterations, but we have the one that we are using. It has funding in it. That links the key link. So we'll make sure that link is what anyone who hears about the competition or DXdao on XDAI, like, we're going to make sure that link is the only link that people see and that's the one they get to, so we can spread that around in the meantime.
Good. Since we're talking about all this community stuff, I think might be a good point to just make sure we introduce Keenan, not to put you on the spot, but maybe Keenan, I don't know if you can unmute and say something, but he is just joining as a communications lead. I would say he's got a worker proposal that's about to pass, and he's already in Telegram. And I think it's good to make sure everybody in the community gets to know him, and that everybody here helps him learn the ropes and get in the loop on the various products and efforts.
Yeah, thank you, John. I've actually been having some audio issues the last couple of minutes here, so I missed a chunk of that, but I did hear my name and I heard that. So thank you for the introduction. And I think I've met a lot of everyone here now.
Great. Yes. Thanks. And sorry you missed some of that, but yeah, I was just saying that, encouraging everyone to make sure you're in the loop so that you can help push the communications out to the community.
I see.
And thanks for the intro. Geronimo, I saw your hand come up. Did you want to speak?
Oh shit, I don't know how that happened.
No worries. Okay, any more questions on Omen? All right, let's go to Swapper. Zet, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So on Swapper, we are working on the governance interface. What's his name? Eugene did his first work. Looks good for starters, and so we basically still are onboarding Eugene. Frederic is helping out with that. I started working on the farming interface UI design. Meanwhile, the developers finish up governance. That's everything from UI side.
Yes, and on the contract side, the proposal I'm watching closely, I think, is less than 2 days now away from passing, which would mean that the core contracts and the periphery contracts can be deployed. Yeah, it's 2 days and 1 hour. Sorry, I misspoke slightly. So yeah, basically when that proposal passes, it funds the deployer contract, and then deployment of the core contracts can happen by calling the deploy function, and anybody would be able to do that. And with the funding, they would have their gas costs covered unless they go extremely high. And that also clears the way for a DApp proposal. And so this DApp that in the UI that's talking about, once those contracts are out, that DApp can be released and proposed to resolve to the swapper.eth URL. All right, great. Any questions on Swapper or anything else?
Just give a shout out for the, I think tomorrow we should kind of have a good strategy chat and on a whole bunch of things. And I'm hoping to kind of work on some things and maybe some other people bring some ideas for kind of figuring that out because I think it's exciting for next steps there. And I think Swapper is really cool because for other DXdao products, DXdao has governed the front end, but this is assuming this proposal passes, this is the first time that DXdao will govern at the smart contract level. So I think that's a very cool development.
Yeah, it's really the first of like a whole new realm of possibilities, and I think huge for generating revenue and fees, because I think it's much more natural to take fees at the protocol level. Yeah, and concretely on the partnership side, there's Luna is about to do an IDO, and they're talking about incentivizing. They have plans to incentivize liquidity on Swapper by the end of the month, so that's pretty cool. And there's also been, this is a little bit more indirect and not as further along, but there's been some talks with the TBTC team about, the potential of diversifying part of the treasury into TBTC. TBTC being kind of favored because it's a more decentralized approach to BTC on Ethereum than, say, something like WBTC. And I think a natural extension of that, if that happens, would be to use that to provide liquidity for that pair on Swapper, which I think is also interesting because there isn't a particularly large amount of TBTC liquidity on chain outside of Curve, which is only BTC to BTC and not a pair like BTC to ETH. So yeah, I think we could see a lot more types of stuff like that. We're talking about integrations with Omen. Gnosis Protocol V2 is talking about integrations with other DEXs. I think an AMM is sort of like a cornerstone for DeFi. So I think it's, I'm super excited about it.
While we're talking about partnerships, we have a status partnership released today on Medium. We're going to post that on Twitter and on Telegram also.
Awesome. And that's maybe a good segue into Rails too, right? Because Rails is one of the dApps you can see on status. I don't know if Federico, you want to say anything?
Yeah. So there's some progress finally. The 1.1 version of Rails is ready to be deployed. Testing was okay. So it's on IPFS already. We have like the hash, the new hash is out there. So we just need to have the proposal up to set the content hash on the ENS domain. I can just briefly go over the new the news, the new features. We're talking about a minor release, so nothing too special. But we have an improved wallet connection flow, which now integrates better with the general look and feel of the rest of the application. We've got the enhanced status wallet integration, which will most likely let us achieve more visibility in Status's dApps collection. We have general polishing regarding meta tags and social media sharing. I've added Twitter OGs and thumbnails and etc. So general polishing there. The possibility to switch wallets once one was already selected previously. A bundle size reduction, like around 80% less in a bundle size, so that results in faster loading times. Automatic HTTPS redirection, and I've added a quick maximum amount selection button in forms where an amount is needed. So in the send, withdraw, and deposit forms, there's now a quick way to select the maximum amount possible, and that's pretty much everything. So yeah, it's just about having the proposal approved, and we should be done.
That's great. Federico says finally, but he's been very busy on Swapper as well, and is sort of a one-man army on Rails development. So I think that's great work.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything on governance side of developments? I know we have 10,000 XDAI and the DXdao down now. Is there anything else to update on?
Well, I can say that looks like we are going to have a Rinkevi DAO of the DXd voting app this month. Everything is going smoothly, and I've been having huge advance on the DX voting app. I'm creating proposals and seeing the proposals on a list, and now I'm going to display the proposal information. So you cannot expect something that is going to look super nice, but yes, something that is going to work on Rinkevi. And eventually we will be able to test it with our Rinkevi apps. Like we have DXtrust deployed there and Swapper, so that will be interesting because we will be able to test all our apps using the DX voting app. Eventually, after that, the next step will be XDAI, and then
I was just thinking that we could use XDAI to test this in a kind of a lower stakes, but still real financial value environment. Augusto demoed this actually on the dev call this week, and it is looking like he's making some good progress. The forms are a little ugly, but I think it's some super cool stuff, and he's making some great progress.
Yes, the most important thing is I'm trying to do all the most technical part of the app. Then I'm going to leave all the UI and extra features to be added later by me or by our developers who want to collaborate in the project.
Yes, totally. And just to kind of highlight, at least from my perspective, I think there's a lot of value here in being a fully decentralized alternative to Alchemy that doesn't rely on some of the centralized elements that we are currently relying on, like DAOstack and the graph. And I think it also offers the opportunity for DXdao to experiment with better UI and governance processes with something that we have direct control over, which is really cool.
There also is a call on Monday after the biz dev call with DAOstack about some Alchemy improvements that they're considering. And so anyone with kind of suggestions on things to improve, I think there's some information in the DAOstack channel on Keybase, but that'll be right after the call on Monday.
Yes, good point. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what they have in store. All right. Well, I think maybe rather than talk about the governance call and the BizDev call, I think there's some pretty good recaps of that stuff on DAO Talk. I thought maybe we could take the last 20 minutes here to just kind of like reflect a little bit on what we're doing and kind of talk about how ways we can improve our efficiency, our processes and stuff. I have a couple of ideas, but I'd want to just kind of first open up the floor. And I also want to say, there's some fairly negative, non-constructive criticism on Telegram, which I'm not really a fan of, but I don't want to be somebody who just sits back and rests on any kind of laurels here. I think it's very important for us to be openly critical of what we're doing and how we can improve. And there's always room to improve. And I think everybody here understands that. And so I felt like this is a good time to give a little space to try to talk about what we might do to improve. I see a frozen Chris Powers, but I don't know if he's...
Yeah, but I can speak out of the other one.
Throws his voice across Jitsi.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think that this is part of a process, and this is like a healthy process, right? This is like kind of some of the, both the incentives that we have installed in the system, like they're kind of providing some feedback here, right, from DXD holders. And then it's also kind of the manifestation, I think, of some of the shortcomings of the current system, right, in terms of some of the alignment. And I think we're looking to address some of these and kind of in that process. But I think that this kind of feedback is healthy as we kind of iterate and move forward. But yeah, I think there's got a couple different things that kind of going around here. I do think it is clear that there's like a DXD kind of contingent that is voicing some concern as the price of DXD is not done too much, and as it DXD holder, I don't think that's great either. My worker proposal just went through though, and I just actually went and purchased some DXD at a pretty low price from 0.278 or so ETH. So I think that's, we can talk about why the price of DXD is going down, and I think like we are all incentivized, we all want the price of DXD to go up. But I think that is like a manifestation or like a representation of the different things that we are working on, struggling with, trying to do. And so I think that this is like the clearest signal we have that's illustrated a lot of these different things. So yeah, I think this is kind of a good, healthy process, and I think we should try to figure out, how to be lean, how to execute, but also kind of how to engage with this type of perspective and criticism and kind of look to build with it.
Yeah, I mean, as a DXD holder, I understand the a perspective of frustration that maybe things are not shipping fast enough or things aren't happening fast enough, right? Like what are the outputs? And I think that's something that we could do a better job of bringing into focus. Like what are the outputs that we're shooting for, and how do we focus in on shipping those outputs, right? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
My overall thoughts are that 2020 for DXdao, went from a few people with an idea to what is currently a pretty impressive decentralized collective of part-time and full-time contributors all around the world, and that got a bunch of products as part of the strategy, a product suite of a whole assortment of products. And when you grow that fast, you basically are going to have lots of inefficiencies and things, right? Now that there is a core base that is functioning, and we are seeing this happen even in the last month, where people realize that there's inefficiencies and lack of direction and things. So narrowing and focusing strategies and creating squads to take over certain initiatives and things, that's all being put in place right now. And so once you have all this product suite, all the products are live, my feeling is that DXdao is always getting better at it's great to get this negative feedback, because now DXdao knows what to improve. And every time it gets feedback from a single DXD holder about liquidity provisions, or about alignment, or about pay, or about slowness, whatever, DXdao actually absorbs that information as a collective, talks about it, and actually comes out of it better and stronger. And so this whole thing in my mind is setting up for what 2021 is going to be, this amazing opportunity. Okay, and you could succeed or fail, but DXdao is going to have this product suite, and it's going to be able to do initiatives and deals and take advantage of opportunities in the crypto Ethereum blockchain space that other individual single product protocols have no opportunity or no chance of doing. And so the price of DXD in the short term is almost irrelevant. You have to give it some time for this process to play out. Trust the process, as Chris always says. But you can picture a future where this all comes together, and that is what has to be executed. At the end of 2021, we're gonna know, was this a good, smart decision of the collective, or is it really hard, or is it successful? So you have to give it a little bit of time, and as long as we always move and improve in the direction that we're aiming for, and that is clear, and the collective. And the coolest thing is anyone in the world can contribute. if they have a problem, they can come and they can contribute themselves. They can give their opinion. They can actually do it themselves and then get paid by the DAO. So anyone in the world can do that. That's really cool. And yeah, so like I think the next year is going to be really key for the execution of what DXdao has basically set up for in 2020, which is super exciting.
What are like the main criticisms so far? I mean, Chris mentioned like a few, but you know, like aside from like price complaints, what are like other criticisms?
Right. I mean, that's sort of my problem with what people are saying. Is they're very empty, like they're non-constructive, right? They're not saying, well, this could be done. So I don't know. Maybe somebody else has an answer to that. Like for me, I just took it as like, well, then maybe this is an opportunity to ask myself what I think we're falling short on. And I do think, you know, putting my DXD holder hat on, I'd be a little frustrated that Swapper isn't live yet. I'd be a little frustrated that Polymarket's doing better in prediction markets. I'd be a little frustrated that the bonding curve hasn't been addressed yet. Yeah, I mean, I think those would all be valid concerns from the DXD that I share.
Yeah, I mean, like my biggest criticism is kind of like, I mean, everything's transparent, but at the same time, it's extremely hard to like dig through all the information. And so like there's like an extremely high barrier for anyone else to not necessarily to join, but you know, to get like understand, you know, what is really going on all these different levels. And yeah, like the website is not doing like a great job in, you know, like directing people or helping them. I think Keybase is, while I like, you know, that it's kind of like a separate messenger protocol and thereby kind of like really filters out, you know, people who are just really short-term interested. It's pretty difficult to use, I have to say. Yeah, it's mainly communications in my opinion. It has to be improved. I think if the community, like the wider crypto ecosystem, would understand, you know, the promise behind DXdao and you know what resources it actually has in terms of human, but also capital, I think things would look very, very different.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of great point and good perspective too, and kind of how you've gotten clearly kind of so more involved and kind of understand these things. That's really helpful. And one of the things that would be great if we could do is like, when we get this criticism, take that as an opportunity to engage and educate and like communicate with that, because we're not doing a good job of doing it in a like presenting everything out in the open where everyone can do it yet. We're working on that. We need to do that better. But like, you know, at the minimum, take this as an opportunity to like gauge those. And actually, I mean, on the Telegram chat, I think there is some, you know, even if they're the arguments are not always perfect, like we can still kind of use it as an opportunity to kind of engage with it. And just to build on, I think something Sky said, I do think we are kind of setting the foundation in a lot of ways. And I think that we are positioning ourselves, you know, I think there's a lot of discussion on like the products, so the products are really well positioned, maybe not as much discussion on like the team, right? And how kind of different elements of the team have come together. Like we've got awesome product designers, we've got awesome like front end people, we've got, you know, we've got like the full Monty of things, and that's taken a couple of months. And then even kind of as we think about the governance 2.0 effort, and I think that provides a more elaborate structure or foundation for a narrative about DXdao to be projected into the world. Like in a lot of ways, I feel like we're just like, you know, when you start out the company, you start out the project or something, you're not just going out and trying to tell everybody in the world about what's going on right now, because it's messy, right? That's why projects do like stealth mode, right? Because they're kind of like hiding in the background, getting all the pieces in place so that when they're ready, they can like push a specific narrative. And I think we're kind of doing stealth mode out in the open and transparent and trying to bring in as many people as possible. But I kind of think that we have a narrative and like a story arc that I think is kind of just kind of coming off. And I think we'll see this. We can sometimes see this as the market comes to us, right? In terms of governance and some of the illiquid governance has kind of become popular. But we can also kind of trailblaze a new path. I think, especially when it comes to governance of ourselves, of our products, in terms of decentralization. Like, these are all things that are important that people care about, and we're like kind of doing the hard work right now.
Oh, I see. I don't know if it's delayed. I think Chris's
Super
video
delayed.
is just delayed.
Scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Suggestion in the chat that there's we do a weekly newsletter that summarizes what happened. I mean, that sounds pretty cool to me. I think John was pointing out that Chris Powers already has done a pretty good job with the monthly newsletter. Maybe, I don't know how Keenan feels about this, not to volunteer him, but maybe that's something that could be converted into a more weekly thing. And we could also maybe rethink how it fits together with these calls. Like, I sort of see this call as like the weekly newsletter in a way. We say what's going on, it's recorded, people can go watch it. But having a written form to complement that might just be easier and better.
I agree. Like, if we get this meeting in a summary and sent out in the Telegram and maybe on Twitter somewhere, I think people get a overview of what's happening and what's gonna happen. Like just weekly stuff. Like right now, people go to Telegram and ask what is the status of Swapper, or what's gonna go, when is DXdao coming up, or whatever. Like, these stuff could be answered each week on a small summary.
Yeah. Well, I think, if we get like 50 views of this video, if you do it a bullet form recap of the topic points, like, you might get 1,000. So it's like people can read a 5-minute thing versus, I think you have to be really involved to watch the whole video. That's part of the issue with the video, I think.
Yeah, it's easier to scan written content than it is to scan an hour-long video.
I agree. We could probably cycle it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing with content in general is like, we just need to actually, I think you said it's recycle content. Like, it's the same thing. We're just like, we produce so much content, and like, you need to have content that goes to like video, to and then the same thing goes to newsletter. But each time you're just like linking to the other things and almost like talking about the same things. Like, I was thinking about this, like Pulp had that post about DXdao, like decentralizing power, right? And like, that's like a post that is kind of long that like I read, but I'm not sure if everyone else read, but like, that lives on the forum. But then it's great to have like a 5-10 minute explanation of that on the video, on like our weekly governance, and maybe a little bit of discussion, because maybe people didn't have time to read it. And then when you're linking to that and like a weekly thing, you can kind of link to a couple different things. I think it is just kind of tying some of these to in terms of communication, in terms of like, I guess, recycling content.
Yeah, actually, like every good forum post, which is like the Pulp one, I just posted one about Omen sponsored transactions. Maybe like with every forum post, there should be a 3-sentence, like as part, you should start your forum post with a 3-sentence snippet of what your forum post is about. And then that could be used just right as it is in the in like the newsletter. And that's what's all that's mentioned is the snippet, and then you link to the forum post. But the snippet should always be included in every forum post. So it's like the TLDR if you can't read the whole forum post. But if you're interested in that, it will show all of the content and ideas that are discussed that week or month in DXdao. And I think that would be pretty impressive, what is produced out of the community.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. Like, on each meeting, or in general, like each blog post, there should be like a summary, so people who combine all those things don't need to like go to each person and ask what's going on, but rather like just collect it. I mean, the awesome thing would be if we automate this, right? Like each worker group is actually pushing that stuff as like snippets to some file, and then there's like a weekly kind of like change log of the organization, and with that, like everyone can just go there and see like what's happening all the time for these worker groups.
You could also consider a bi-weekly kind of update to chop up between our monthly updates and just remove that information gap a little bit more. And we could put maybe a stronger emphasis on that one as opposed to a weaker emphasis on weekly ones, perhaps.
Yeah, I think bi-weekly could be good. I don't know if people need like, there's not that much happening that you need like the weekly update, but a bi-weekly would definitely be an improvement. I also wonder, like, could we use this call more efficiently, especially if we have more frequent writing? Could we turn this into something else? Like you don't have to use it as a recap if it's written down somewhere.
Yeah, I've been thinking a little about this too, and I think there's some quote or someone, everything is media, right? And so, like when we think about DXdao and like kind of what it is and what we're producing, like, and what the product you're selling, like a lot of the days it comes down to like the audience you're reaching and how you're engaging with them. And at the end of the day, you're like producing media, right? This is why A16Z like produces podcasts. Like they're owning that way is kind of driving that narrative. And so I do think for like this meeting and these and our kind of weekly meetings, if we made them into things that were like more interesting to listen to, right? Like download as a podcast or kind of listen, I listen to those things on 1.5x speed, but like viewing a lot of like our public and these calls in general as like, it's like, how can we make it better media?
Yeah, and if we have better content, like more people will be engaged. Like that's what we want. Like have more people interested in this. Like if we make it more interesting, like I don't know, with better videos, maybe YouTube and stuff. And people like I had one issue like when I was starting, because our content is a lot of in the written form, but like me, I learn more visually. Like I want to see pictures, videos, and that is better medium for me. And I had really hard time learning everything. So I think like optimizing for that would be very good.
We could definitely do like normal basic explainers that doesn't go in deep. Like just do the basics of DXdao and how to
those like whiteboard videos, like I think they're great. Like they're simple and they explain stuff. Like there's one guy on YouTube who explains like DeFi stuff. I think that's great. Like it's simple and it explains everything. Like very good.
Yeah. So I was just like going to expand on the newsletter thing, right? So it doesn't need to be like 10 minutes of reading content, right? So definitely not. Nobody's going to read through that, right? But like a thing that you can read through like in 2 to 3 minutes, with some memes, kind of like explaining situations, links to relevant tweets or blog post articles, with like a little bit of comment. That's already enough. So that's why I'm kind of like in the chat. I recommended like reading the Wi-Fi Pulse newsletter. That is like happening daily, and they don't have that much activity going on, right? But they kind of like link to tweets, etc. Tweets in general that might be interesting to read, or the Index Group newsletters is also like super interesting. They definitely have much less going on in their community than DXdao, but they have like a weekly newsletter with like interesting information and like summaries. So in that format, I think it would be like very nice to read.
That's a kind of nuts statement, because I think like Wi-Fi is 100 times the market cap of DXD. So if DXdao has more going on than them, that's like, I don't know.
No, sorry. I mean, like maybe like with Wi-Fi, it's maybe like more on par. I mean, like they have probably like a little bit more developer activity going on, but we have more going on in Index Co-op. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about Index Co-op. It's basically like this new farming token with the DeFi Pulse Index.
Yeah, it's very cool. Shame DXD is not inside it.
Yeah, maybe like the next one. We're currently trying to create like a token terminal index where basically projects get into that index ranked by their price to sales ratio versus, just like arbitrary. But okay, that's a different topic.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with all of this. Like I hate getting called a bureaucrat, and I feel like that's happened like 4 times this week. And what I usually do when I answer people on Telegram is like I'm linking to somewhere in DAO Talk or somewhere in Alchemy, and I could understand like the perspective of like I don't want to read all this and dig through. So what are you throwing it like some eighth citing somewhere in this deep legislation? Like just give me the like updates and ship what you said you guys were going to ship. I think that's like what the community wants. All right. I think that was good. Communications focus. Do we need to enable more of a team around this in the landing page in terms of like development, design, etc.? Like, do we need? And I guess more generally, like I think we need that place to talk about worker responsibilities and kind of make sure resourcing is being handled. What did we say yesterday, Chris? That next Thursday.
Yeah, I was gonna. So next Thursday after this call, I think, and we'll probably maybe try to keep that to like the bi-weekly cadence and trying to figure out exactly what that one is, kind of the scope of that. But broadly speaking, will be kind of like resource and worker coordination. So like who's working on what and like how do we better kind of allocate resources and see how we can kind of work more efficiently. So I don't know. I think we should at least having that meeting. We'll see how that goes, but that could kind of turn into a bunch of different things.
Should we simply use this meeting slot for that next week and kind of alternate? We could do, bi-weekly recap updates, and we can work on making it a little more attractive from a consumption perspective, and then maybe alternate with resourcing and onboarding. I guess I'm just always looking for ways to make meetings more efficient and not drag people to meetings.
Yeah, I mean, I think just thinking about what this, and how this call can be. I mean, I guess you just said it's kind of like a weekly recap, but like it's serving that purpose some, but could it better be used, I guess, for other things, especially if we implement like other things that provide that like weekly recap component.
Yeah, I'd say like to kind of avoid expanding meeting space, I'd say let's use this one next week to do the resourcing one on Thursday and make sure everybody knows about that. Because I think that's a really important topic that we keep talking about, but it hasn't gotten the airtime that it needs. All right, cool. I mean, the other thought I had on meetings is like we have a swapper strategy call, but we have no other calls for any of the other strategy. Like, what do people think about that?
Yeah, I even just noticed Martin created like the Mises strategy Keybase, which I think even just now it's making me think about it a little bit differently.
Yeah, maybe I try to establish a Mesa call, but I'm looking for. I'm on the way doing it, but I don't know. It's one call more, and everybody can take part, and they have enough calls in way. But
yeah, I wonder if we could convert the swapper strategy call into a product strategy call.
Maybe, yes.
Yeah, I mean, even last week we actually did.
Because normally you don't have to talk every week about strategy, but now we have like uncertainty, so we have to talk more about that, and also about how we work together with DXdao. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like the Omen project has a strategic call, which is actually an hour before this call with the Gnosis team and sometimes also the Claros team. So there's like a sync up between a variety of projects where they have stake in Omen. So there is a strategic call, but not like if anyone wants to be in it, feel free to join. So yeah, that's.
Which day? Today? Is it on which day it is?
Yeah, today it's Thursday.
Oh, okay. Okay.
An hour before the.
So this spot is taken. If I would.
Is it a
at the same
public?
time.
Is it a public call? Because I thought that call was more of a, like we have something similar with Swapper. It's like a weekly product meeting that's really just for the workers to coordinate. Is it more like that, or is it actually like a public?
Yeah, I would consider. I mean, it's not presented public like the. It's we probably should make it public. Yeah, like it's not on Jitsi. It's on Meet. Meet. How is it? Yeah, it's not on Jitsi, so I consider it not as like. No, it's not. Wait, it's something else. I forgot the name.
Zoom.
Whatever. Zoom. Thank you. Thank you. Sky and the rest. Do you guys think we should have like a DXdao internal strategic Omen call?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, I don't think that one around like specific parts of the product around development. It should be like